Okay, so my other video stopped. I'm recording with the Olympus EP2, which only does a certain amount of time for video, so I'll have to stitch these together. This might be part 2 of the original video. My video editing skills aren't exactly fantastic. But like I was saying before, I left off with the battery for the Nikkormat FTN. It's a Zinc Air 675 battery. You could just set it in the compartment and leave it there, but it's really small. So I used a little O-ring to keep it in place. So yeah, that's the FTN. Really nice camera. This is the 50mm f2. Really nice lens. You know, it's obviously not the 1.4 or the 1.8, but actually most people say that this f2 is just as sharp, if not sharper, than those lenses. So if you don't need that 1.4 or the 1.8 aperture, this would be a pretty good lens to pick up. You can usually get them cheaper when they don't have those larger apertures. So really nice lens. So now I will show you some of the other lenses I have for these cameras. Another thing I should note, I just had this. The FTN does not have a place to mount the flash. Now I don't know if there is a looks like there's a sync port. I don't use flash a lot, but I think you had to get some kind of arm or something like that to mount a flash on this. This is the AS1 flash adapter for the f2. I think the f3 took the same one. Basically, this just slides on over here, and you mount your flash on that. Looks kind of goofy, but I've seen a lot worse in terms of things being converted to be used. It does work though, so there's that. So I'll get to some of my other lenses now. I will start. I made my F100 video and I have not gotten film back from that one, but I have used the F2 quite a bit. I have not used the FTN yet. So just a disclaimer there, but I have used all the lenses here with the exception of one, which I will show you first since I'm not going to be able to tell you much on it. And that is this, the 300mm f4.5 Nikkor. There's quite a few different versions of this lens. The only one to really avoid is the Nikkor P. That's the earlier one. I think came out in 1964. I've seen images from it, and it's not good. It's really soft. It's just not a good lens. This is the H version, which they continue making this up until the AIS versions. It was, you know, they changed a few things, but for the most part, same lens. It comes with a tripod collar, which is really nice, and you'll definitely want to use it. Extremely heavy lens. The f2 is a really heavy camera. When you put this on it, it's yeah, it's quite a bit to carry around. Retractable hood, which is really nice. Has quite the focusing. It takes quite a bit to focus this camera. As you can see, it's got a long travel. It only focuses to about 13 feet. So that's the closest you can be to something. I think the newer versions you can get closer, but 13 feet is the closest you can get. F4.5, as I said before, again, you're going to want this on a tripod, so, you know, not all the time. You can shoot it handheld, obviously, but you'll probably get best results with a tripod. With most of these older lenses, usually a stop or two down from the maximum aperture will get you sharper images, usually wide open. A lot of older lenses aren't as good. The only one that, with the exception of that, is the 105 2.5. This is really sharp even wide open, which is that's just an excellent lens. So I haven't used this one yet, so I won't tell you much more in terms of image quality. I've heard it's pretty good. I've heard it's, you know, it's not the greatest, but I actually got this 300 millimeter with the FTN for a criminally cheap price. I think I paid like $50 for both of them, and typically these go for around $80-$90 for the pre-AI ones, which are what all these old lenses are. I do plan on getting them converted. And I think the AI and the AIS ones go for 120, 130, something like that. I think the later AIS, and there's an F4 one too. I think those are maybe a little better. But so there's that. I'll put that right there. Hopefully it doesn't tip over because it weighs a lot. Next is this is the 135 3.5. And this lens in particular actually has some pretty good lens haze in it. I actually didn't know that when I bought it, but I bought it really cheap. I paid like $30 for it. This is actually, I would say, the 135. There's the 135 3.5, and then there's a 2.8. I think they're both really, really nice. I've actually heard the 3.5 is a little better. This is actually, to be brutally honest, probably a little sharper than the 105 2.5, but I like the images I get from that a little bit more from the 105. But even with the lens haze in this one, and it's in one of the front elements, it's up here somewhere, even with that, it didn't seem to soften my images very much, if at all. But this is a very, very sharp lens. The separation from your subject and the background on this is just awesome. This is just a lens hood, the HS14. I think you can actually use this on the 105 too. But I used this for some portrait stuff when I had a trip out to the Black Hills in South Dakota, and I can't say enough good things about it. I definitely recommend picking one of these up. It's a little long for portrait work, but you can make it work, and it's awesome lens. So I highly recommend that one. So my last one that I'll show you, this one is also another favorite. This is the 200 millimeter f4. Again, like the 300, this has a retractable hood. Not a very nice, I mean, the shape of the lens is kind of goofy, you know. It's really big back here, and it kind of comes down to the 52 millimeter filter threads, which is nice because, with the exception of the 300, these all take 52 millimeter portrait or filters, which is really handy. This is a really early version, but they're all really good. This is probably, I would say, of all these lenses, this one is actually probably the sharpest. That from what I've seen. I have a picture on my Flickr account of a bighorn sheep in the Badlands in South Dakota, and it's a horrible scan of the picture. I think actually Walmart scanned it. Really low resolution, but it still is. It's a really sharp image, and this lens, I think I shot it at like f6 or something like that, f8 maybe. You have to get one of these. I paid like $40, I think, for this lens, and they're not very expensive. Just pick one up. This is, I haven't used the 300 yet, but I would say most of the time this is the lens I'm going to use if I need a telephoto. It's that sharp. So yeah, I would definitely recommend picking one of these up. For any of these lenses, I would definitely recommend getting at least the AI version. because that way then you can use it on your digital bodies, almost all of them. And if you have like a D700 or a D600 or a D300, anything like that, it'll even give you full matrix metering, which is awesome. And even what I'm going to do with these lenses, instead of selling them and getting updated versions, I'm actually just going to have them converted to AI. John White does them, and I've already spoke to him. And basically, all he does is there's more to it, I think, than this. Well, actually, maybe not. So instead of the AI versions had a different aperture, they had like a separate aperture ring back here, and what they do is they cut into this collar, they cut a groove, between certain points, and that is where your indexing goes then. So then you can use it on your newer bodies. So and it'll give you the metering and everything. So that's really nice. Some people have said that it hurts the value of these lenses, but as far as I'm concerned, that's sort of the thing for collectors. If any of these lenses were in absolutely pristine condition, I probably wouldn't do it. But they're not. They've all been used. The glass in them and in all of them, with the exception of the 135, they're all in really good shape. So that's really all I care about. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and those are the some of the two cameras and the lenses that I have for my Nikon setup. So the main reason I've switched over is the lens compatibility. I eventually plan on getting a digital body, and I can get all these lenses converted to AI, and I can use them all. So I'm really looking forward to that. There's a few pictures that I've taken with mainly, actually, all with the f2 and all of these lenses on my Flickr account. So I'll put a link down there, like I said before, and you can go check them out. Thanks for watching the video. Ask any questions in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.